Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Madhav Kunj Bīhāri Gopi Jan Vallabh Girivardhari. Jai Radha Madhav Kunj Bīhāri Gopi Jan Vallabh Girivardhari. Jashodanandan Vraj Jana Ranjan Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhav Kunj Bīhāri Gopi Jan Vallabh Girivardhari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivragacharya Stota Sada Bhakti Vedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Antar Mayapur Dham ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samaved Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Guru and Gauranga. Today we are going to read from Bhagavad-gītā. Today is also a very, very auspicious day. Yesterday was the appearance day of Lord Sri Krishna. Today is the appearance day of Srila Prabhupada. So, whatever he has given us, this valuable translation and purports in this particular book, there is going to be extensive reading, because he makes a very wonderful point about this particular verse, and that is why he goes on and on and on to explain every part of it, and it really directs us and makes us a real devotee. So let's think of Srila Prabhupada, his guidance, his spirit, and with very great respect and honor, let us read it. It is Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 9, verse number 7, text number 7. Sarvabhutani Kaunteya Prakrutim Yanti Mamikam Kalpakshaye Punastani Kalpado Visrujamyam Sarvabhutani Kaunteya Prakrutim Yanti Mamikam Kalpakshaye Punastani Kalpado Visrujamyaham Sarvabhutani Kaunteya Prakrutim Yanti Mamikam Kalpakshaye Punastani Kalpado Visrujamyaham. Word-to-word translation. Sarva Bhutani, all created entities. Kaunteya, O son of Kunti. Prakritim, nature. Yanti, enter. Mamikam, my. Kalpakshay, at the end of the millennium. Punah, again. Tani, all those. Kalpado, in the beginning of the millennium. Visrujam, create. Aham, I. Translation by His Divine Grace. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature. And at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. Once more, the translation is, O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature. And at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. So listen very carefully the purport by His Divine Grace. The creation, maintenance and annihilation of this material cosmic manifestation are completely dependent on supreme will of the personality of Godhead. At the end of the millennium means at the death of Brahma. Brahma lives for 100 years and his one day is calculated at 4,300,000,000 of our earthly years. 4,300,000,000 of our earthly years. His night is all the same duration. His month consists of 30 such days and nights, and his year of 12 months. After 100 such years, when Brahma dies, the devastation of annihilation takes place. This means that the energy manifested by Supreme Lord is again wound up in himself. Then again, when there is a need to manifest the cosmic world, it is done by his will. Bahusyama, although I am one, I shall become many. This is the Vedic aphorism, Chandogya Upanishad. He expands himself in the material energy and the whole cosmic manifestation again takes place. So, we'll keep reading it, but the point is that here it is said that cycle of Kalpa. What is the cycle of Kalpa? We have Kali Yuga, Dvapar Yuga, Treta Yuga and Sat Yuga. Kali Yuga is 432,000 years long. The duration of that particular age of hypocrisy and quarrel, Kali Yuga, is 432,000 years. Dvapar Yuga is 864,000 years long. 864,000 years long, that is the Dvapar Yuga. Treta Yuga is 1,296,000 years. Treta Yuga is 1,296,000 years. And what we call Satya Yuga is 1,728,000 years. 1,728,000 years. So, when you add these figures of this number of years or duration of these 4 ages, millenniums, Kali Yuga, Dwapara, Treta and Satyuga. When you add 432,000, 864,000, 1,296,000, 1,728,000 years, that makes a one cycle. So it starts with Kali Yuga and it ends at Satyuga, or it may start with Satyuga and it may end at Kali Yuga. It's a circle, it's a cycle. So you can start anywhere you want, but you will end up at the same point. So we are in this particular age of hypocrisy and quarrel, which is known as Kali Yuga. At the end of 432,000, there will be Dwapara Yuga. Then after 864,000 years, there will be Treta Yuga. And after 1,296,000 years, there will be Satyuga. And Satyuga will last for 1,728,000 years. Again, that Kali Yuga will start, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, Satyuga. So it is Satyuga, Treta, Satyuga, Treta, Dwapara, Kali Yuga. So if you start with Satyuga, it is Satyuga, Treta, Dwapara, Kali Yuga. But that is the one cycle. And one day of Brahma is 1,000 cycles like this, which will add up to 4,300,000,000 years. Brahma lives 100 years. But according to our earthly calculation, one day of Brahma comes out to our 4,300,000,000 years. Why I repeat again and again and again? Because this is something we cannot conceive. Our life is only 100 years, let's say. Even 100 is too much. Most people don't even make 100. But still, we don't have much imagination beyond all that. And that is why it becomes very inconceivable. And that is why I keep repeating that what we are reading today is something that we have to go over again and again. And that is why Srila Prabhupada also keep writing in a very lengthy way to explain what he is talking about this particular verse. So, life of Brahma, if one day of Brahma is 4,300,000,000 years, then whole life, 100 years of Brahma comes out to be 311 trillion and 40 billion years. 311 trillion 40 billion years, earthly years. So that is a life of Brahma. It is very, very hard. You may think of maybe 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 100,000 years. But 311 trillion years and 40 billion years, that is a long, 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 long time. Now, what happens? That there is a creation, like he said in the first sentence. There is a maintenance, and also there is annihilation. So far as annihilation is concerned, one is known as a Nitya, and that is a constant annihilation. Nitya means daily. Every day you feel that. And within a day, every second sometimes, something is dying and new thing is born. For example, our cells, whatever is today, it may die by end of the day, and there will be new cells in our body. This is a scientific thing. And those who have studied the body, they can only understand and they can accept this truth that our cells are ever dying and ever regenerated. So that is known as a Nitya, or a daily constant annihilation. If you call any hospital that is anybody born today, there will be so many hospitals and so many births today. Same thing, you call the hospitals that anybody died today, and you will be surprised that many hospitals may report you all kinds of deaths. So, number of births and number of deaths, that's the story of life. And that is, we are talking about everyday basis. So, this is happening on everyday basis, and that is why when you call tomorrow or day after tomorrow, your survey will show that a lot of people are born, and at the same time a lot of people die also. So this is a Nitya Pralaya. Pralaya means annihilation. It is not that according to this verse we have to wait till 311 trillion and 40 billion years. It is happening every moment. When you are born and when you are getting 1 year old, we celebrate first birthday. But if God has given us 100 years of life, then actually 1 year is taken out of that, because you already lived 1 year. And so only 99 years of life is left, mathematically. The second birthday, we celebrate 2 years are taken away out of 100 years of life. And now we have to live only 98 years. So similarly, day by day, year by year, the life is diminishing. Now, 1 day of Brahma we call 4,300,000,000 years. So, just like every day we talked about Nitya or constant pralaya, annihilation, and such 365 days will make 1 year. So Brahma also, if he lives 365 days in a year, at the end of the day, means of that year, there is going to be occasional annihilation. After Brahma's end of 1 day is going to be occasional, which is naimittic annihilation, naimittic pralaya or occasional annihilation. The end of 1 day of Brahma is 4,300,000,000 years. When Brahma lives 30 days like this, and it is multiplied by 12, that's 12 months of a year, and Brahma lives 100 years like that. At the end of life of Brahma, which is 311 trillion and 40 billion years, that is the Prakrutik Pralaya or material Pralaya, material annihilation. So that time also, just like at night time, what we do, we go to bed, we sleep. Similarly, every single day of Brahma, he is sleeping at night time. And when night time Brahma sleeps, all the living entity also will have to sleep. We'll have to merge back to the nature of God, and then wait for another 4,300,000,000 years to become active, living life. Again, that's the time after 311 trillion and 40 billion years, Prakrutik Pralaya, or all the material that you see around here, the earth, water, fire, ether, air, everything is dissolved again. And then when time comes, when the will of God decides that, okay, we have to create the material energy again. So this cosmic creation, he is thinking by Bahusyama. Ekoham Bahuda Bhavanti. Means I am alone and I want to be many. And that time the cosmic manifestation appear and life starts. So this is a very, very intricate subject. So we have Nitya Pralaya, Naimittik Pralaya, Prakrutik Pralaya. The constant annihilation, occasion annihilation, and material annihilation. The real annihilation or a pralaya, which is appreciable by the devotees or saintly people or intelligent class of people, is a final annihilation, which is known as Atyantik Pralaya. What is Atyantik Pralaya? This happens in our heart, in our mind, in our Antahkarana. Antahkarana is made out of Mana, Buddhi, Chit, Ahankara. Mana means mind. Buddhi means intelligence. Chit is a memory. And Ahankara means our ego. So, when all this come to an understanding about the absolute truth, and that is the time we understand that what we see around us, all these things that we actually see around us is not real, but what is real is only the absolute truth, nothing else is real. Everything else is illusion. So just like we see a mirage and far away we see water, a reservoir of water. Many times many deers and that kind of animals, they run for miles and miles and miles to drink the water from the reservoir. But since reservoir is not actually existing, it is just an illusion. When there is a little water on the ground and it evaporates, and from far away you see that vapor moving here up and down, it feels like, it looks like that there is a reservoir for water, but it's simply a mirage. When the water is steady, very still, in that still water, next to it, if there is a mountain, that whole mountain you see in the water. No, the mountain is not in the water. It's just a reflection of the mountain in the still water. So, this life around us is also an illusion. When you take a glass and there is some kind of reflection of a fire or a water or earth, other elements, that is just a illusion, but not a reality. So, just like a mirage, this entire world is like that. And that takes time to realize. In order to do that, sometimes you have to be detached to this material world and go up in the Himalayas, meditate, and then realize the soul, super soul, and Paramatma, or Bhagavan himself. And then you come to know that what you see around is just an illusion. The real thing in this world is God, is the absolute truth. Rest of it all just mirage or illusion. I heard a story about a saintly person who went up in the Himalayas. After practicing yoga and meditating, he came down to this at the bottom of the Himalayas, and some people were making a movie of Mother Ganges. So these movie makers had a huge digital screen on which whatever they were shooting was projected. So Mother Ganges was flowing on that screen, and this Baba who was meditating for years and years came down. By the time the world had changed, it has become a digital world. But he came, he extended his baking pot that he used to keep all the time. And he says, "Please, sir, can you fill this with water? I am very thirsty." So the people who were making movie knew that this person is just coming down from Himalayas and he is really detached from or cut off from this world. He doesn't know how much the science has advanced. So they tried to explain him that, "Sir, what you see on the screen is not a real river. It is just some kind of picture, film. But it's moving and it looks like it's a real water. So there is no way we can fill your cup with this water. It's illusion." So the self-realized person is pointing at the river, the real river, and he says, "What you see, that particular Ganges, is also an illusion. When you come to know absolute truth, that is time you realize that whatever is around you in this material world, the visible material world, is nothing but illusion." And that's what he said, "I want to tell you." So actually he was beyond this digital world, that he even understood what is a film, what is illusion, and what is a reality. So that kind of final annihilation, which breaks your avidya means ignorance. Once you come to know, then there is no ignorance. Then you appreciate this material world, that yes, we are here temporarily. So That is known as the Atyantik Pralay, or a final annihilation. Now, Srila Prabhupada is pointing that the human life, however, is an opportunity to get out of this repetition of creation and annihilation. It is a means whereby one may escape the Lord's external potency and enter into internal potency. So God has two kinds of potencies. One is internal and one is external. So all these things that we are reading, the day of Brahma, or year of Brahma, or 100 years of Brahma, or 1,000 years of Brahma, or life of Brahma, when there is always a chances that in the night time we just go and lose ourselves, and then when the day starts, then along with other living entity we also come back to life. So Prabhupada says, what is the use of wasting times? Because these years that you see here, even though we use the same units that we are using units to measure our daily life, talking about millions of years and zillion of years, that's a long, long time. And we don't even waste for once only. We have been already wasted this over and over and over and over. Our fellow's philosophy differs from the Darwin's philosophy. Darwin thinks that there is a one kind of life, and then there is a promotion to that life, and then again there is a promotion to life, and eventually we come to human being's life. But actually, our culture and religion tells that all the life, 8,400,000 species of life, they were all created at one time. The roach, or a crocodile, or a snake, or a rabbit, or a monkey, human being, they were all born at one time. And then, when they live their life according to their karma, maybe they can go up and down. But it is not that, like one was born as a monkey and the next birth comes to human being. No. So, ours is very simplified, and it makes a great, great sense that all the lives were created, and then according to karma we can always go up and down. Now, when here says over and over and over and over that a day comes when we lose ourselves, and then a day also comes when Brahma's day comes, we all come back to life. And when Brahma's night comes, we lose ourselves, So that is why there is a story about a blind man who was walking in an industrial area, and there was a huge round well, we can say, and somehow he trips and falls into that well. He is blind. Somehow he is trying to get in touch with outside world. Right now we have a cell phone. So they figure out where he is, and they say, okay, that particular well has one single opening. At the perimeter of the wall, there is an opening. So, since you are blind, you touch the wall and walk at the perimeter of the whole well. A time will come when you will feel that opening, because that is the part you cannot touch. If there is solid wall, you can touch. But if there is an opening, this is opening now. So you take that opening and there is a staircase. You can take a stair and you can come up. We don't see any problem. So blind man tried. He touched part of the wall and then he kept going, touching the wall. He touched because it was a long, big walk, circular, and he was touching all over just to find that opening. Now what happened? That as the opening came, somehow by God's arrangement, he had itching on his back. So he took off his hands from the wall and started itching his body while continuing walking. So what happened? That actually he passed that opening. And since he passed the opening, there was no way he can find the opening because there is one opening, one single opening. And he missed it. So again you have to go all over again. And he complained there is no opening. He said, no, there is opening. You keep looking for it. And he said, I did. And he said, what happened then? How can you miss it? Then he realized that maybe when he tried to scratch his back, that time he took off his hands from the wall, and that is time he missed the opening and he could not go up. So this is what's happening. We are giving this human life and we have to make best use of it to get out of cycle of death and birth. Because Janma Jara Vyadhi Mrityu. No matter in which species you are, you may be a lion, the king of the jungle, but still there is a birth, there is old age, there is disease, and there is death. A mosquito, he may live for 10 days, but it takes birth, it grows, it stays, maintains himself, produces byproducts, and someday his body starts dwindling, becomes victim of disease, old age, and dies. So this is a common routine for every single life. From all the way down to the smallest invisible insect to Lord Brahma. We all go through these 6 changes and these 4 conditions of life. And we keep going back and forth into the cycle of birth and death, making no progress whatsoever. There is a lizard in India, I heard, that it wants to go up on the wall. So, according to their observation, the lizard will spend the whole night traveling up, and it will go 10 feet up. And then, once it reaches 10 feet, it will have to come down 8 feet. Because that's how it works in his nature, that he goes 10 feet up and comes down 8 feet. So actually the progress is only 2 feet. Second day, going 10 feet, but coming down 8 feet. Going 10 feet, coming down 8 feet. So in our human life, if we go so slowly, we may be thinking that we are going at a great speed and we have collected so much and achieved so much of education, so much of salary and wonderful life. But it doesn't add up to what is required in order to cross the ocean of birth and death. Now, this our religion has actually 4 columns on which our religion is resting. One is austerity, other is mercy, third is purity, and fourth is truth. So what happens that we just talked about the Kali Yuga, Dwapar, Treta, Satyuga and all that. Satyuga had all these 4 legs or 4 columns on which Dharma was sitting. So it was safe because all the austerity, all the mercy, all the purity and all the truth that you want, it was there. No ignorance and vice in that particular age. But then a little vice was introduced, and that was known as a Treta Yuga. And once Treta Yuga was over, more vice was introduced, and that was known as a Dwapar Yuga. And then finally, tremendous vices were introduced. A lot of ignorance, vice, irreligion, and what we see today, that is the effect of Kali Yuga. So, when we believe that Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha, if we protect these 4 columns in our life, perform austerity, be merciful to others, keep our life pure, and speak truth, nothing but truth. So that way we can protect ourselves. And that is the meaning of Dharmo Rakshati Rakshita. We have to follow these 4 regulative principles where austerity, mercy, purity and truth is involved. Now, also there is a further explanation. Srila Prabhupada keeps writing, the duration of material universe is limited. It is manifested in cycle of kalpas. Kalpa is a day of Brahma, and one day of Brahma consists of 1,000 cycles of 4 yugas or 4 ages. Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga. The cycle of Satya is characterized by virtue, wisdom and religion, there being practically no ignorance and vice, and the Yuga lasts 1,078,000 years. In Treta Yuga, vice is introduced, and this Yuga lasts 1,296,000 years. In Dwapar Yuga, there is an even greater decline in virtue and religion, vice increasing, and this Yuga lasts 864,000 years. And finally, in Kali Yuga, the Yuga we have now been experiencing over the last 5,000 years, there is an abundance of strife, ignorance, irreligion, and vice. True virtue being practically non-existent, and this Yuga lasts 432,000 years. In Kali Yuga, vice increasing to such a point that at termination of Yuga, the Supreme Lord himself appears as a Kalki avatar, vanquishes the demons, saves his devotees, and commences another Satyuga. Then the process is set rolling again. These 4 yugas rotating 1,000 times comprise one day of Brahma, and the same number comprise one night. Brahma lives 100 such years and then dies. This 100 years by earth calculation total to 311 trillion and 40 billion earthly years. By these calculations, the life of Brahma seems fantastic and interminable, but from the viewpoint of eternity, it is as brief as a lightning flash. In the causal ocean, there are innumerable Brahmas rising and disappearing like bubbles in the Atlantic. Brahma and his creation are all part of material universe, and therefore they are in constant flux. In the material universe, not even Brahma is free from process of birth, old age, disease and death. Brahma, however, is directly engaged in the service of Supreme Lord in the management of the universe. Therefore, he at once attains liberation. Elevated sannyasis are promoted to Brahma's particular planet, Brahmaloka, which is the highest planet in the material universe and which survives all the heavenly planets in upper strata of the planetary system. But in due course, Brahma and all inhabitants of Brahmaloka are subject to death according to the law of material nature. At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from unmanifested state, and thereafter, when the night falls, they all merge into unmanifested again. So right now our status is manifested, but a time will come when we will be unmanifested again, and then eventually after millions and millions of years we will manifest again and live this life again. Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. The less intelligent who try to remain within this material world may be elevated to higher planets and then again must come down to this planet Earth. During the daytime of Brahma, they can exhibit their activities on higher and lower planets within this material world, but at the coming of Brahma's night, they are all annihilated. In the day, they receive various bodies for material activities, and at night, they no longer have bodies but remain compact in the body of Vishnu. Then again, they are manifest at the arrival of Brahma's day. Bhuta Bhutva Praliyatem. During the day, they become manifest, and at the night, they are annihilated again. Ultimately, when Brahma's life is finished, they are all annihilated and remain unmanifested for millions and millions of years. And when Brahma is born again in another millennium, they are again manifest. In this way, they are captivated by spell of the material world. But those intelligent persons who take to Krishna consciousness use the human life full in the devotional service of Lord, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thus they transfer themselves, even in this life, to the spiritual planet of Krishna and become eternally blissful there, not being subject to such rebirths. So Srila Prabhupada clearly explains here. There is a story of a little bumblebee, and it likes the aroma of the flowers. The juice comes out from the flowers, the color of the flowers, whatever. But flower is the life. So it was found on a top of the lotus flower. It's a beautiful flower. And when the sun rays strikes, flower opens up, blossoms, and a lot of aroma, beauty, a lot of juice. So the bumblebee is actually going around it and hiding inside, playing with it, spending the whole day there, without realizing that the nature of the flower is such that when the sun is sinking, the flower also, instead of opening up, it started to close up. So eventually it really becomes a solid bud, and all the petals, they stick together, and the flower gets closed from all the sides, from all the directions. So that is exactly what happened to the bumblebee. That at the end of the day, when the sun started sinking, still it didn't get any warning, kept drinking the juice of the lotus, kept smelling and enjoying the aroma of the flower. When the flower closed, the life was in danger. But the bumblebee thought, and what she thought? Ratrir Gamishyati. Well, it's a matter of time. Right now, the flower is closed. I'm locked out. So now, Ratrir Gamishyati Bhavishyati Suprabhatam. 12 more hours and the flower will open up. Bhavishyati Suprabhatam means there is a sunlight. When there is a morning, all the lotus flower will open. Bhaswan Udeshyasi. The sun will rise in the sky, in the blue, in the east direction. Sun will come up. It will rise. Hasishyasi Pankajashrihi. Then all the lotus flower, when they see the sun, they start smiling, they start laughing. Just like when we laugh, our lips and our mouths, they open up, right? Similarly, all the lotus, they start smiling, seeing the sun has come up already. Hasisyashi Pankajashrihi. And that time, Bumble says, I will be free like a bird, because I won't be in a jail, in a prison anymore. Right now, I'm trapped inside the flower, but then I'll be free. Ratrir Gamishyati Bhavishyati Suprabhatam Bhaswan Udeshyasi Hasishyasi Pankajashrihi Itham Vicharayati Koshgate Dvirepe Ha Hant Hant Nalinim Gaj Uchchahar. Then what happened? When it was dreaming like this, that okay, it doesn't matter, I'm trapped inside, but the time will come when sun will rise, the bud will open, and that flower, when it opens all the petals, I will be free. But that point or that moment never came. Why? Nalinim Gajujjahar. An elephant was walking around, and it took that flower by the trunk, uprooted it from its base, and threw it in the sky, and that particular lotus never ever opened again. So what the story goes is that since it never opened, the jeev inside, the butterfly inside, died. Bumblebee inside died because no way to open the flower. So by the attachments of the taste, by the attachment of the aroma, attachments of colors, and the beautiful delicate life on a lake, it's wonderful. But the thing is that, you have to watch out how the nature works. A day comes when you are trapped and there is no way out. So, hanta nalinim gaja uchchahara. As soon as the elephant threw it away, there was no way to come out from that particular flower. So So this is still a time for us, Srila Prabhupada say, to chant Hare Krishna and develop a relationship with Supreme Personality of Godhead, that we are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is like ocean, and we are like a drop of ocean, and that way, if we serve Krishna and chant Hare Krishna mantra, then definitely nothing will trap us, and we will be free like a bird. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you for joining us. Today is auspicious day, and we'll see you next Wednesday.